Hi, it's Mr. Mike for the Mechanicsburg Learning Center with another episode of Dino-A-Day. We've been doing this for the last 31 days. So this is episode 31. We have another dinosaur to talk about today. Very, very cool. Dinosaurs, when they're fossilized, you might be lucky if you get a couple of bones, maybe a back vertebrae or a toe in some cases. Well, we have a very interesting one to talk about today. Here's a look at it first. This, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is the Edmontosaurus, discovered in Edmonton, up in Canada, near Alberta. Okay, Edmontosaurus is one of the very, very first completely mummified dinosaurs. So we know not only what the bones look like, but we know what the skin looked like and what even the face looked like. So even some interior organs were found. So this was discovered. There's been several discoveries. In fact, we have three complete specimens that have been mummified. So it's a very, very well-known dinosaur. Unfortunately, it's had a very interesting history where it's had all sorts of different kinds of names. It's gone from Clayosaurus, Agnethomouse, Anatitan, Hadrosaurus, Thespius, and Trachodon. All these different names at one point all correspond to what we now call Edmontosaurus. So, discovered and named by a Lawrence Lamb in 1917. This thing could have grown to 40 feet. Some estimates are looking at 49 feet. So this was huge. When you compare it to a Stegosaurus or a Triceratops around 30 feet, this thing could have been 20 feet bigger than that. Ended up being named in, let's see, that was 1917. It was actually discovered in the late 1890s in Wyoming by a famous rockhound, Barnum Brown. Barnum Brown, go-to guy for O.C. Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope, famous paleontologists that were involved in the Bone Wars back in the late 1800s. This animal lived between 73 and 65 million years ago. And it was an hadrosaur, duckbill, so therefore most likely herbivore. 1908, Charles H. Sternberg, the Sternberg patriarch of the whole Sternberg dinosaur fossil hunting family, discovered the mummified dinosaur. He was working at that time for a British museum, but Henry Fairfield Osborn found out about the discovery and came to him and offered him a sum of money. The sum was somewhere around $2,000 to get this mummified dinosaur, quite a bargain. 1910, 2 years later, another second mummified Edmontosaurus was discovered. That one ended up in Germany. So in 1999, yet another mummy was found by Tyler Lyson in North Dakota. It was nicknamed Dakota. So not only did we have the bones, not only did we have some of the skin tissue, a look at the face, and what the skin itself looked like in terms of it being pebbly or did it have scales. It was an amazing thing. We got to see it. If you want to go to New York City to the American Museum of Natural History, you can take a look at it yourself. The other thing, it didn't have a lot of weaponry. This animal did not possess spikes, long claws. It, as I said, was an herbivore, so it really did not possess anything to keep it safe. So it most likely lived in herds. The one thing that it did have as an advantage was it was very fast. It could outrun a T-Rex, which was around at the time that the Edmontosaurus was around. So we think this thing could take off and hit maybe 28 miles an hour, which is quite fast. So today's animal, the Edmontosaurus. I will read you the story that was completed only minutes ago for our special Dino-A-Day segment, number 31, from the Mechanicsburg Learning Center. Edmontosaurus, by Mr. Mike. You'd have to be quite lucky if you ever hoped to find a dinosaur preserve that had its skull and bones aligned. And even luckier you'd be if it retained some skin, because usually just bones remain right where the skin had been. But this Edmontosaurus must have been one lucky beast, for when it died it somehow didn't end up as a feast. Most times when dinos fossilize, they're rarely mummified. But here we had most of its bones and 2/3 of its hide. In fact, we found 3 specimens with skin, and that's so rare. We even have a stomach and the food that settled there. A mummy tummy might tell us some things we never knew. We hope that it corroborates some facts we thought were true. But sadly, much as I would like to say it put to rest the questions that we had about the things it would digest, it's hard to say the plants in there were actually consumed. So did they end up there after the dinosaur was doomed? Now here's a fact that moved our understanding straight ahead. It looks like once a rooster comb adorned his dino head. Most likely it was colorful to show our beast was great at being a good husband, father, bodyguard, and mate. It's gone by different names, and then those names have been withdrawn, from Claosaurus, Hadrosaurus, even Trachodon. It was a good-sized chap that measured over 40 feet, and it could run much faster than a really swift athlete. Again, I say we're lucky that it was so well preserved. That gave us so much to explore, so much that we've observed. It ended up becoming such a famous mummy beast that today its reputation has continued to increase. The Edmontosaurus, our Dino-A-Day for the Mechanicsburg Learning Center. Yeah, this thing 28 miles an hour, and you can't tell by this model, but some of the later mummified remains actually showed those things on top of a rooster's head. They call it a comb. So it could have been very colorful. It could have been there, what they call sexual dimorphism, to show that it was the male versus the female, or just to say it was a good mate. So the Edmontosaurus, the famous mummified dinosaur, on episode 31 of Mr. Mike's Dino-A-Day, brought to you by the Mechanicsburg Learning Center. We do it every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Facebook, and then we post all the videos at Mr. Mike Sgrignoli. Just go there on YouTube and you can find all the videos. Thanks again for sharing this, and we'll see you again tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.